Hey, what's up, guys? It's Dekkster here, and I got some budget decks for you guys. All of these decks are below 1,500 dust. So maybe you made a new account, or maybe you're trying to make one on a different server. Like I'm probably gonna be making one on EU, and I kind of want some budget decks to play with that'll do decent on ladder. These aren't gonna be top tier, but it should be able to be decent enough. Maybe get rank 5, or maybe you climb up even higher than that. I don't know, but these decks aren't bad, and they're all under 1,500 dust, and there's one for each class. So this is actually I'm going to link to this article below. It's from Good Gaming. It's a great little write-up, so be sure to read that. But we're going to start with Druid here. So for Druid, we got a budget token sort of thing. Here's the dust amount: 1,220 dust. So basically, it's like the normal token Druid, except you're not going to have the more expensive cards. You're not going to have patches or living mana. You're also not going to have the Bloodcell Corsairs. And you don't even have enchanted ravens in this list. But basically what you want to do, you want to flood the board. Then you hit them with some buffs like Mark of the Lotus, Power of the Wild. And then you hit them with the Savage Roar. And you dominate from there out. If you draw right, it's kind of just, you're unbeatable, really. But for the mulligan, you want to get your one drops. You go pretty aggressive for your one drops. You want to make sure you get some Argent Squires, Fireflies, Glacial Shard. If you have at least like 2 one drops, maybe you want to keep Mark of the Lotus, or maybe you want to keep a Power of the Wild. Also, don't be scared to use Power of the Wild to spawn a minion if things aren't looking too good, and you just need something on your board. Okay, let's move on here to Hunter. Hunter, this list is 1,360 dust, and it's kind of just your normal mid-range Hunter here. It's not too different because mid-range Hunter is actually cheap in general, but this one, it cuts the rat packs. You could switch out these rocks here for some rat packs if you wanted to. That might make it a little bit stronger, a little more mid-early gamey. If you want to get rid of Fiery Bat and go lock a Crawler, you can add 2 grandmas in there, 2 kindly grandmas, grandmothers. You know what I mean. But for the mulligan here, you're going to want to look for Alley Cat, Fiery Bat, and Crackling Razor Maw, especially if you have Alley Cat or Fiery Bat, or even Jeweled Macaw. I personally would keep Jeweled Macaw if you don't have any of the other 1-drops without getting too aggressive. Because if you throw away a Jeweled Macaw and you just get like a Kill Command, Unleash the Hounds, and Vicious Fledgling, it might be a rough start. So I usually keep Jeweled Macaw. But you do whatever you want to do. You do what you want. Okay, we got Mage next. So Mage, this one's kind of cool. It's budget elemental, which isn't really an archetype that's too prominent right now. It's mostly, secret and freeze and burn and all that sort of stuff. Quest mage even now. But this one, it does have elemental synergy between things like Steam Surger. I guess that's really like the biggest one right there is the Steam Surger. You also got the Water Elemental curving into the Servant of Kalamos, which is actually really nice. It's really good. So for mulligans here, you're going to want to go for Mana Worm, Firefly, Frostbolt, and Sorcerer's Apprentice, because Sorcerer's Apprentice can get you some sick value out of things like Flame Geyser, Frostbolt, Arcane Intellect, really just any of your spells. It just gives you a lot of tempo if you're able to play that. If you want to upgrade this a little bit, you can drop the, where are they? Over here. The Faceless Summoners for 2 Blaze Callers. You could drop the Igneous Elementals right here. You could drop those for 2 Primordial Glyphs. Those are a little expensive, but those are such good cards. If you're going to play Mage, you might as well get Primordial Glyph. They're even going to be good in the next expansion that's coming out. You could drop a Steam Surger and a Flame Strike. Flame Strike for 2 Firelance Portals, which you can actually get those for free out of the first list or first flight of that expansion, which I forget which expansion it's in, but you should be able to get those Fireland Portals pretty easily. So why not throw those in there? Flame Strike's not bad though if you're seeing a lot of aggro decks. All right, so next we got Paladin, and this is another cool one that's not really prominent right now. We got Elemental Buff Paladin, which is it's cool. It's got the elemental synergy with stuff like Fireplume Phoenix, the Tol'vir Stone Shaper, Servant of Kalamos, and then we also have the buff synergy with things like Smuggler's Run, and I like the Smuggler's Run a lot. It makes your cards really strong. The buff is really nice. If you're able to pull it off, like if you're in your mulligan, which you want to go for Argent Squire, Firefly, Hydrologist, if you get at least 2 of those, getting a Smuggler's Run, you're going to have a really strong start. You're going to have a good start. And you can even keep Grime Street Outfitter if you have at least 2 minions also in your mulligan. If you want to upgrade this deck a little bit, you can change the Ogre and 1 Stonehill for 2 Blaze Callers. That gives it a little bit more elemental synergy. Blaze Callers are great. It does make your curve a little bit higher, but it's such a strong card. Blaze Caller is so good in elemental decks. If you want to drop 2 Argent Squires over here, I can't reach that high. My green screen cuts off. But 2 Argent Squires, you can put in 2 Grime Street Enforcers if you're not facing full aggro. So that'll just give you a little more late game. It'll cut your aggro. But with the meta that's going on right now, I'm mostly seeing aggro. So maybe you don't want to cut those for Grime Street Enforcers, but if you're seeing a lot of control decks and you kind of want more late game or just a slower archetype, then go ahead and put in the Enforcers. Okay, Priest next. We got Inner Fire Priest, which is only 960 dust. This one's under 1,000, guys. So this is a cheap one. I mean, it's always been there. This Priest archetype. It's just this is a cheaper version of it. For your mulligans here, you're gonna want to get Northshire Cleric, Radiant Elemental, Power Word Shield, and Potion of Madness is really good if you're against aggro decks. Like if someone throws down N'Zoth's First Mate and it pulls out Patches, you can Potion of Madness and just wreck them, and then they don't have their Pirate Synergy for the next turn. Or if they put Murlocs on the board, you can grab the Murlocs, and just make them kill each other. So that's always great. So make sure you get Potion of Madness if you're playing against aggro. But it also has other good synergy for clearing aggro decks, just handling aggro decks such as Shadow Word Pain, Wild Pyromancer, and it always has the good synergy with Wild Pyromancer and Acolyte of Pain. And then of course the big dick swing at the end. What you want is you want to Divine Spirit your minions with high health, and then hit them with an Inner Fire and smack your opponent in the face. Sometimes they just don't see it coming. It catches them off guard. But yeah, if you get a nice free from Amber here with something with a lot of health, Divine Spirit, Inner Fire is pretty much, you're probably just gonna win from that point if you're able to get there. You also got Akanai Soul Priest with Circle of Healing, which is a good AoE clear, and then you also got something like Northshire Cleric if the whole board's damaged and you really need cards. You can Circle of Healing there, get a ton of cards there. So lots of cool stuff you can do with Priest on a budget. As far as Rogue, this is more of like a face Rogue. We got a budget sort of aggro Rogue. This one's a 1,380 dust, and you kind of smork with this one, guys. You want to go face. You want to go face. And you want to go face, guys. You do have 4 pirates in here, and you're running a crawler. So if you're not able to eat someone else's pirate, you just eat your own. So you can eat your own Sousy deckhand after it's done its job, and you kind of just get a strong crawler. It does have a really cheap. The mana costs are low. So. You want to try and get them dead real fast. Like I said, Smork, if you end up on turn 6 and they have like control of the board, you pretty much lost at that point. But yeah, what you want to mulligan for: Argent Squire, Firefly, Backstab. This is great. You get your minions on the board, and then you're able to backstab them to keep your minions on the board, keep the board free of their minions, and just kind of control everything. I also like keeping SI7 Agent if you start with a coin. Or if you get a backstab, it might also be decent as well. If you want to upgrade this list a little bit, go ahead and drop the ringleaders over here. God, it's hard to point. Drop the ringleaders. Get 2 swashbucklers. Those are great cards. It's almost like a hallucinate that you don't get to choose. But swashbuckler is such a good card. Such a good card. And then if you want to drop the Stranglethorn Tigers, you can put in a Vile Spine Slayer. You could also put in a Patches the Pirate. I know that's an expensive one. But maybe you'll be able to get a Vile Spine Slayer. That's such a good card. But yeah, Patches would be great with all the pirates. You could just pull them out. But if you have Patches, maybe you don't care about budget decks. But yeah, Patches might be the best legendary right now, if you're running aggro decks at least. All right, okay, we got Shaman, and Shaman, there's an elemental Shaman, so it's pretty similar to even what I got Legend with, except what I got Legend with was with Jade Elemental. So this one's a little bit cheaper, and it does have, it's not as strong because it's running other things that are maybe slower cards like Fire Plume, Harbinger. It's running 2 hexes, which is a little more control-y. So it's more like a mid-rangey sort of deal. It doesn't have the Jade strength, but it is budget, and 1,280 dust. It's kind of hard to beat. Basically, it's going to be similar to Token Evolve, except you don't have the Gangster Evolve combo, which is fine. This might even be more consistent than that. You flood the board, you protect it with Flame Tongue Totem. Like if you turn 1 Firefly Coin Firefly, turn 2 Flame Tongue Totem, you pretty much like kill anything they drop and then just snowball from there. You also got Jade Claws to protect yourself. Just be careful of that overload. Yeah. I don't know why that was hard to say. Be careful with that overload because it can kind of fuck you up, guys. It might mess you up. You might be like, oh, next turn I'm gonna have 3 mana. No, you have 2 mana again. So be careful of playing that on 2, especially if you have a 3-drop in your hand. Maybe you want to hold off on the Jade Claws sometimes. If they have a clear board, maybe don't play the Jade Claws. Play just a normal totem, maybe. If you have a Igneous Elemental in your hand, you know what I mean. But if you're able to throw down a Fire Plume Phoenix with a bunch of elementals in your hand, you can get some sick value. So for Mulligan, you want Fire Plume Phoenix, Fire Plume Harbinger. That's what I meant to say. So you want the Harbinger, you want Firefly, and you want Jade Claws. It'd be nice if you want to upgrade this. You can get Maelstrom Portal. Maelstrom Portal's so good. AoE, aggro, clear. Maybe you can drop the Glacial Shards for Maelstrom Portals or something like that. You can also drop the Frostwolf Warlords for Blaze Callers. It does make your list a little more mana expensive, a little slower, a little more control-y. You could also drop 1 Bloodlust for a Kalamos Primal Lord. Those are expensive upgrades. Kalamos is very niche, but if you're going to play Shaman, Kalamos is super good right now. So, yeah, he's definitely worth the craft if you're planning to main Shaman this expansion. Next expansion, he still might be good, though. Warlock, we got a budget zoo list here, 1,480 dust. I don't know if this is better than the other budget lists, but if you want to play Warlock, here it is. I still think Warlock... Not too great this expansion. Hopefully the Frozen Throne, it's going to be quite a bit better. But this is an old archetype. Old archetype, but it's brought back, and it's still very similar. Basically, you know, you just flood the board. If you run out of cards, you life tap. You throw more minions on the board. The key card here, in my opinion, is Darkshire Councilman. If your opponent can't deal with this and you throw this down, even if you coin it out on 2 and then you just start flooding the board, you get an insane Councilman, and it's kind of hard for them to deal with. Another good synergy here is the Devilsaur Eggs with the Defender of Argus. Also the Devilsaur Egg with the Pterodax. It's good stuff. It's good stuff, guys. Some good synergies here, and I definitely can see people getting pretty decent ranks with this. For Mulligan, you want to get Firefly, Possessed Villager, Voidwalker, and Flame Imp. But be careful with that Flame Imp. You do not want to throw that out into an opponent's War Axe or something like that. It does hurt you sometimes, so just be careful. Be careful with the Flame Imp, but it is a strong 1-drop. It is. If you're able to hit your opponent once with it, then it's gained its value. It's paid itself off, is I guess what I'm trying to say. Okay, lastly here, we got, where is it? Here it is. Warrior, which is of course gonna be a budget pirate warrior. And the main difference here, this is not too different than most pirate warrior decks, except it doesn't run Leroy. It doesn't run Patches, which is really core to pirate, but instead it runs an extra Firefly. It also doesn't run the South Sea Captains. South Sea Captains are so good in pirate, but I mean, pirate is Cancer, so maybe you just, oh sorry, I hit my mic. Maybe you just don't want to, be Cancers, guys. So maybe you just want to ignore this whole warrior budget segment in general. But if you wanna be the Cancer, You do you, guys. And for the mulligan for this, you're going to be looking for N'Zoth's First Mate, Firefly, and Fiery War Axe. The First Mate is still a great drop, even without patches. With patches, oh my god, it's so much better. But without it, it's still decent. It's still a decent play. Gets you a 1/3 weapon, gets a 1/1 on the board, and yeah. And Fiery War Axe is, oh my god, you pretty much win if you get Fiery War Axe, especially with like an upgrade. If they don't have an ooze or they don't have some Bloodsail Corsairs, you're gonna start putting some hurting in there. But yeah, if this draws right, you win. Your opponent can't do anything. So yeah, you can replace Firefly with Patches the Pirate if you have them. You could place the 2 Crawlers with 2 South Sea Captains. You can also remove the second Firefly for Leroy Jenkins if you wanted to. It's up to you guys. But that's it. That's the last one. I hope you guys enjoyed this budget video. Let me know what you think. This is probably going to be the best under 1,500 dust decks you can get in this expansion. This might be my last budget video until the next expansion anyways. But yeah, these are all below 1,500 dust, and they're all going to perform decently on ladder. So if you make a new account on EU, go ahead and play one of these. Just check them out, guys. If you want to be a broke boy, a little cheap, you want to be cheap, check these out. And once again, this is taken from goodgaming.com. I will link to their article below. It's well written. Be sure to check it out. They also have all the deck codes. So if you want the deck codes, it's going to be linked there. So be sure to check it out, guys. And don't forget about the deck codes in the description. Anyways, yeah, that's it. Like, follow, sub, share. Get at me on Twitch, guys. Get at me on Twitch. It's linked in the description. My Twitter as well. If you want to follow my Twitter and try and put out updates. Like, hey guys, look what I'm doing. You know what? Whatever. Okay, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.